The Egyptian desert air carries the heavy silence of millennia. Around 1978, near the cliffs of El Minya, a chancy discovery inside a limestone cave revealed something far more consequential than gold. Under the flicker of flashlights, a weathered leather-bound volume emerged, the Chacos Codex. Within its fragile papyrus pages lay the Gospel of Judas, a Gnostic text lost since antiquity and condemned by early church fathers like Irenaeus of Lyons in the 2nd century. Buried for 1600 years, this document doesn't offer a traditional biography. Instead, it reveals the radical perspective of a dissident Christian sect, finally giving a voice to the man history had branded as the ultimate traitor. For nearly 2,000 years, the name Judas Iscariot has stood as the ultimate symbol of betrayal, the architect of history's most infamous crime. We have long been told the story of a man driven by greed, a thief who traded the Son of God for 30 pieces of silver. Yet as scholars painstakingly reconstructed the blackened fragments of this lost codex, a startlingly different narrative began to emerge. Within this Gnostic framework, Judas is recast not as a villain, but as Christ's favorite confidant. The text speaks of a secret revelation, a private discourse held in the days leading to the crucifixion. In these pages, Jesus gazes at Judas not with suspicion, but with a profound and terrifying clarity. He singles him out, not as the weakest of the 12, but as the only one capable of helping his master shed his mortal shell. It plants a provocative seed. What if the betrayal was not an act of malice, but the fulfillment of a divine command? Close your eyes and listen to the sound of destiny. It isn't a choir of angels but the rhythmic metallic clink of 30 pieces of silver striking a wooden table. The sound is cold and final. In the chambers of the high priests, Judas stands alone. Each coin acts as a nail in his reputation. Yet the Gospel of Judas suggests his heart wasn't racing with greed, but with the crushing weight of a sacred mission. He isn't looking at the silver, he is looking through it, watching a cosmic clock wind down. He is a man trapped between two worlds, the physical realm that will brand him a monster, and a spiritual path that demands he accept the role of the pariah, to set his master's spirit free. The air is thick with the scent of burning oil and the metallic tang of those coins, the price of a sacrifice the world was never meant to understand. The Garden of Gethsemane is a labyrinth of twisted olive trees, their gnarled trunks like frozen screams under a pale, indifferent moon. Judas is drenched in a cold, visceral sweat, his breath hitching in a jagged rhythm of panic and resolve. In the distance, the torches of the temple guard flicker, drawing closer like fire-eyed predators. As he nears Jesus, the silence between them is deafening, louder than the rhythmic strike of marching feet. Judas reaches out, his hands trembling with the weight of what follows. When his lips finally touch the master's cheek, the infamous kiss of Judas, this lost gospel reclaims the moment. It isn't a gesture of spite, but a devastating goodbye, the signal to trigger the release of the divine spirit from its fleshly prison. It is the most agonizing act of obedience ever recorded. What if the Kiss of Betrayal was actually a master class in cosmic liberation? In traditional accounts, Judas is the tragic failure, but this forbidden codex presents a radical inversion of the cross. It describes moments where Jesus laughs, not in mockery, but with a divine alien joy, knowing something the other disciples cannot grasp. He speaks to Judas in private, declaring, "You will exceed all of them, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me." To the Gnostics who penned this text, the physical body was a cage of bone and sinew, a prison for the eternal light within. By handing Jesus over, Judas wasn't killing his friend. He was acting as the locksmith, turning the key to release the divine spark from the shackles of mortality. He was the only one brave enough to become the villain in the eyes of man to serve a higher hidden design. Imagine the crushing loneliness of being the sole keeper of the truth. While the other disciples bickered over their status in a physical kingdom, Judas carried the blueprints for a spiritual revolution. In the Gospel of Judas, Jesus looks at the 11 and sees only spiritual blindness. They pray to a lesser god of the material world, trapped in rituals they fail to grasp. But Judas, he perceives the cloud of light. He gazes into the abyss of the great unnameable spirit and does not blink. This wasn't a partnership of equals. It was a lonely pact between a master and his most loyal shadow. Every suspicious glance from the others was a price he paid in silence. He was the secret keeper, destined to be the scapegoat so that a higher truth could be birthed in blood and ink. History is a cruel editor for 1600 years. It struck Judas' defense from the record. While his gospel lay rotting in the Egyptian soil, the world built a monument to his infamy. In the grand cathedrals and vivid nightmares of the Middle Ages, he was painted with red hair, then a mark of the devil, and depicted hanging from a tree, his bowels spilling out in a grotesque display of divine justice. His name became a curse, a slur used to justify unspeakable hatred across generations. But consider the psychological horror of his role. If the forbidden Codex is true, Judas died knowing that the very people his master came to save would spend 2 millennia spitting on his memory. He accepted a crown of thorns made not of wood, but of eternal reputation. He became the villain the world required, a dark mirror for humanity's own betrayals. But why was this story buried? In the early centuries of the Church, a fierce battle raged for the very soul of Christianity. Bishop Irenaeus, a titan of orthodoxy, denounced the Gospel of Judas as fiction, a wicked heresy designed to mislead the faithful. To the leaders of the burgeoning church, a heroic Judas posed a direct threat to the established architecture of salvation. They required a stark divide between light and dark, between the Savior and the scoundrel. Consequently, the text was cast out, left for the desert to swallow the name of the 13th disciple. For centuries this truth lay in a spiritual tomb, preserved only by the dry heat of the Egyptian sands. Its survival is more than an archaeological fluke. It is the voice of a ghost that refused to stay silent, demanding we re-examine the mechanics of the greatest sacrifice ever known. Now, look at the man in the garden one last time, through the lens of this forbidden dust. He is not a monster of greed, but a martyr of infamy. Imagine the terrifying strength required to hear the Savior say, "You will be cursed for generations," and still follow through. If this forbidden codex holds a grain of truth, Judas was the only one who understood Jesus' mission well enough to embrace the world's hatred. He traded his earthly honor for a devastating role in a cosmic design, ensuring his master's spirit could finally break free from its mortal shell. In this light, the kiss of betrayal is transformed into the kiss of ultimate sacrifice. The coins in his pocket weren't a reward. They were the heavy shackles of a destiny he bravely accepted. He became the villain of history so that the divine light could finally break through. So we are left at the crossroads of faith and history, staring into the weathered pages of a book that was never meant to be read. Was Judas Iscariot the architect of a divine tragedy, or the hero of a cosmic rescue mission? Perhaps the truth lies in the gray shadows between the silver coins and the garden's kiss. The Gospel of Judas doesn't just challenge what we know about a man, it challenges how we judge the very nature of sacrifice. As the desert sands continue to shift, revealing secrets long thought dead, we must ask ourselves, are we brave enough to see the light hidden within the darkness? History is rarely written in black and white. It is etched in the lives of those who played their part, however painful. If this mystery stirred something in you, hit that like button and share your thoughts below. Was Judas a villain or a victim? Join us in the shadows of the Forbidden Codex by subscribing for more lost truths. The past is never truly buried.